Come on now.
Hey guys.
It's just a pint.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Here at the Swamp, get ready to beat LSU. Y'all tune in to Rule Number 1 podcast on Monday.
Yeah, episode 23. We're rolling, rocking and rolling, getting it going. This show, man, we're 23 episodes deep, dude.
Yeah, man, it's so cool, kind of just to see how this thing is coming along, man. I mean, just the journey that we've had from the very beginning and seeing our progress going all the way through, man. It's exciting.
Yeah,
I mean, you see the growth with it.
Absolutely, dude. And, we're checking off some boxes, one small thing at a time. We had a business plan coming into this thing that we set forth months prior before episode 1 with Trey Woosley. And, I think we checked off every box. And so far, our longest past due box was like 5 days. So we're right on target, man.
Yeah, and I know for me, I had big ambitions with this podcast and I was excited about it. But honestly, I never thought it would make it this far. I did in the back of my mind, but I never thought it would get to the point where it's oh dang, we're filing for a LLC, we're starting business, we're making money, and we're only 5 months in, 6 months in.
Yeah.
And so it's super, super encouraging. You put in all the hard work and all of a sudden, you pull some attention and you're like, hey, this is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you hit it right on the spot. I was at a baseball game last night, watching my dad coach, by the way.
Okay.
And I had a guy come up to me on the fence. He's like, hey, man. I was like, hello. And he's like, he's like, you're that dude from the podcast.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah, I am. That is me. Nice to meet you, dude. I'm glad you listen. I hope you're listening to this episode too. But it's been cool, dude. It's been a nice ride, and we're still going up.
Exactly. I love whenever obviously it's not necessarily random people that'll stop me or whatever, but it's friends of friends, and you're like, oh, you're the guy with the podcast.
Yeah.
It's a little something.
But you gotta get your first random. It's kind of weird. I've had my first random. It's kind of weird, but
I've had it with my TikTok and everything, but I haven't had it with the social media or with the podcast yet. But it's super cool. It's super cool. It's very encouraging to see, all your hard work pay off, and we're still growing. But it's a cool little encouraging moment. But.
Well, to get in tonight's episode, you see that we don't have the black chair. That means we don't have a guest with us tonight. But last episode with John O'Neill, we kind of had the inspiration, and other people have told us to do this too.
Yeah.
To kind of have some episodes, given our testimony or our story, our how we've got to here.
Exactly.
And so we're going to treat you like a guest tonight, Nate.
Yeah, I was talking to Brian, and after John's episode, man, I kind of took a look in the mirror and I'm like, dang, I've known John for a long time, and just some of the things he said, it was a big flashback from a lot of things that I used to talk to him about in high school, and it's man, I need to figure some things out, and I think it affected you the same way, because you made a couple mentions about it, and it's one big thing. If any of y'all ever listen to these podcasts, if you're listening to this episode right now and you haven't listened to the last episode, go back and listen to it. Because that is about as real as one person can possibly get, and that's what we preach on this podcast. We preach transparency. Just be yourself. Don't try to be funny. Don't try to act like you're somebody you're not. We just want to sit down and have a conversation. So I hope in these next couple episodes, John was last week. He kind of gave his testimony. I'm going to give mine this week. And then Brian, I believe, is going to do his next week.
Yeah.
So hopefully y'all can kind of get a little more insight of who we are as hosts on this podcast. And whenever we have future guests on, you can kind of know where we're coming from and maybe pick up on some of the inside jokes that will slip in there every now and then.
Yeah, that's very true. So, Nate, welcome to the Rule 1 podcast. We ask all of our guests this off the top of the episode. Partner, what's your number one rule to live by?
Well, first, Brian, I just want to say thank you for having me on tonight. Man, my number one rule, it's not necessarily hard, like in stone kind of thing, but I live by a couple things. One, it's a quote from Matthew McConaughey, and somebody asked him who's his biggest hero, and he said his biggest hero is himself in 10 years.
Okay.
And so it kind of sounds envious, vain or arrogant in a way, but the way he explained it is he wants to be himself. His biggest hero is himself in 10 years because he's always striving to be the best possible person he can be. Mm-hmm. And so if your hero is always 10 years ahead of you, then you can never obtain it. And so if you keep striving to be a better person and better, friend, husband, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, worker, whatever, if you're doing the best you absolutely possibly can, then naturally you just become a better person over the years. And along the same lines is there was another quote that I've seen. Honestly, I don't know the guy's name. I saw him on TikTok and he looked really cool. Yeah. He had a cowboy hat, long gray beard. He just looked wise. Okay. And he said this thing, and he was talking to young adults, like young men in particular. And he says, if on your journey, basically, he says, you're never your end result or whatever. He goes, think of it as your, like a Damascus steel knife, like this beautiful knife, layers on layers of iron. And he goes, how they make these knives is you melt the metal down, and then you put it in the fire, and you heat it up, and you heat it up, and you can get it really hot. And you get put through all of these trials and this heat, and it's pressing you. And then, I don't think I can take it anymore. I don't think I can take it more. And you continue to get heated. Well, once it gets hot, the knife's not done. Yeah. So when you take the knife out, then you put it in the vise, and then you start hammering it, and you keep hammering it, and you keep hammering it. And so it's molding you into who you are. And then you're like, okay, well, it's cooled off, it's hammered, it's got its shape. Well, it's not done yet.
Nope.
It needs a hilt. So then you got to carve and smooth the handle, and you smooth the handle. And then once you finally have this masterpiece, how it looks really nice, well, it's not going to cut anything. So then you got to put it in the grinder, and you got to sharpen it down. And then once you got your perfect knife, and then you go to cut something, and you got to sharpen it again. So it's almost like this idea of we're always polishing ourselves off. You want to be that prized possession in the top cabinet, but there's always trials and tribulation that you're going to go through. And when you go through them, it kind of just makes you into that prize piece at the end of the day. And your goal is to be that prize piece at the top of the cabinet.
You are all about the process.
Oh, yeah.
Going back to your rule one, be your hero in 10 years. Try to be your hero in 10 years. The hardest part about that is the 10 years is the time. Things always change. You can't stop change. Mm-hmm. So it's like a train on a track. It's always going to be going. And that's the hardest part. How do you stay with your goals throughout changing times? I'm about to go through change. You're about to go through change. Heck, my lease is up in a couple months at the house I'm at in Lake Wales. So I don't know where I'm going to be living in a couple of months. I might renew that lease, or I might go to somewhere else. But okay, I can guarantee this podcast is going to be going in a couple of months. So
exactly. I hope so.
It will be. We've already invested too much time and money into it now to stop. But the process, how do you take how does yourself not get discouraged by the time it takes to get to your end goal in your process?
Man, I get really guilty of this. And I'm a big dreamer. Obviously you and I are both big dreamers. And I have big goals and aspirations for myself. And a lot of times I get caught up in the end goal and not necessarily the process. And so honestly, man, to be real, I struggle a lot with it. Big time. And so there's times I get up in the morning and on average, I run on 5 hours of sleep, and I work 10, 11, 12 hour days on minimum. And then I come and clock in on this podcast. Yeah. And so, I go to bed at 12 o'clock, I get up at 5. And so there's mornings that I wake up and I look in the mirror and it's what is all this for?
Me too.
And it's man, I know there's an end goal, and honestly, ever since I was young, I just felt like I was destined for something big. Mm-hmm. And, through maturing, there was times where I thought it was different things. Growing up, I always thought I was going to be a professional baseball player. I thought was God's plan for me. I thought I was going to make it. In my junior year of high school, I was really very good. I mean, I batted .450, and we were the 16th team in the nation. I had 4 home runs that summer. I was getting recruited all over the place. It didn't quite pan out for me in college. And then, we start this thing. And so it's like, you can't help but dream. It's like, maybe this is my calling. And it's like, I've always had that thing in my life where it's like, I know I'm destined for something really big, but I can't quite put my finger on it. So I just keep making a step, and you get up and do what you can.
Absolutely. And that, I'm right there with you. I feel like I'm destined for something big too. I don't know what that is yet. I don't know where that is yet or what it, you know what I'm saying? It's out there. I got to find it. Yeah. But, the steps along the way are things that I'm going to look back and love. And I know you take it the same way. But, looking back at things that you love, you might hate things too. You get where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Things make us up. All right. Past events, lessons learned.
Yeah.
So I know you got a lot of them.
Yeah. So basically, what Brian's getting at is I'm gonna give a little bit of my testimony. Just where I came from before this podcast. We've handed out a couple things. I can't start my story without starting it here. And so when I was 12 years old, my dad passed away. He had stage 3 pancreatic cancer. Came out of nowhere. And my dad, if it wasn't for, myself in 10 years, if that wasn't my hero, my dad 100% would be my hero. I mean, he was the best possible example a guy could have for 12 years. But he was diagnosed when I was 12, and John mentioned it too, so I figured I'd put it out there and kind of clear the air a little bit. He was diagnosed when I was 12 with cancer, and the doctors told him off the rip that he was going to basically pass away within a month. And it was the craziest thing. Like 11, or I think I was 10 at the time. 10-year-old me was in the doctor's office with him, whole family around him. He got admitted, and they said, "You've got a month to live." And he looked at the doctors and started laughing. And I was like, what is this guy's issue? Yeah. Like, what is going on? And he starts laughing. He looks at the doctor and he says, "You don't write my timeline. God writes my timeline." And so then he went to fight. So he did chemotherapy and everything like that. And he ended up lasting a year and a half. And then he finally, passed. But there was a time in it where he was telling everybody, he was like, I don't know how much longer I live. And he was like, but my goal is to make sure that everybody knows the Word of God. And so he was out there. It didn't matter if he was kind of like John's story with Roger Evans, how he would have a chemo port and he'd have to go to the hospital and get it put back in. And he was back at it. Same with my dad, same kind of guy. And it just encourages me because, my dad had such a strong faith. He didn't care, what he was doing. He always, did everything to 110%. And that's kind of how I try to model my life. And towards some of the end of the days, I think it was 2-3 days before he passed away. My sister actually got married. And so they found out like, okay, this time's kind of coming short. And my sister was engaged, and they're like, okay, we're going to move this wedding up. So they didn't have a venue. They didn't have, a caterer. They didn't have anything. And so they told our church, and they were like, okay, like we're all going to pitch in. So they planned this whole entire wedding in 2 weeks, and they got married. He walked her down the aisle, and 2 days later he passed away. And that was just such a big story in my life because I, kind of saw God's provision through everything because, he's a day before he passes away, and, we're all sitting by him and he's smiling and everything. And they're like, how can you be so confident in this? And it's like, well, I'm about to see my Creator. And so that's a little backstory into me. And then from there, that was a big thing that kind of molded me, moving into kind of like high school area. I was 12, moving into there. I battled with that a lot. I mean, I just lost my best friend, kind of like John mentioned. I went to LCS. I started playing football and baseball, and just stuck to it. I mean, you know how it is.
Just grind it,
you absolutely love it. I played baseball and football. Started getting recruited my early junior year for football, and then early senior year for baseball. Had a couple different offers. I didn't nothing really stood out. You know, it was all up north. I had a preferred walk on to Florida A&M to go play baseball.
You would have fit in perfectly.
Hey, they had an ag major, and so I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
I was thinking
Why
about
not?
it. Go play D1 baseball.
Facts.
But yeah, I had a couple different offers, and then Coach Sykes, he came to me. It was late my senior year, and he was like, "Hey, fella," he's like, "Why don't you come get an ag degree and come play baseball for us?" And so I went over there. I played my 4 years there, and that's how I met Brian. Went into my freshman year, and I was kind of contained my whole life. You know, my mom, being a single mom, she kind of tried to keep a tight grip on me. And I've always been kind of a guy where you gotta kind of make your mistakes and you live from them.
Yeah, I agree. I know. I've seen it.
And so I've mentioned a couple times, during the podcast, I've made mistakes, or my career was a little bit different from Brian. So this is where this all kind of starts. So yeah, I get to Warner. Man, I hit the party scene hard. I got a little taste of freedom. I, went out to bars. I had a bunch of money saved up, blew it all.
Kind of like how I did when I went down to Ave, dude. I left Fort Meade, small town, one red light. Man, I was out and I wanted everything. I wanted to see every site, every party, every girl, everything.
Yeah. It just like, I tell people all the time, it's the transition from high school to college is so big. And I wish there was a way to somehow adapt these freshmen into the whole college scene, because, I've seen people that go from high school to college that, hit rock bottom, very similar to how I hit.
Yeah.
And it's tough to be able to transition from, you're in your parents' household, and then all of a sudden there's just freedom. You can do whatever you want. Normally you got mommy and daddy's bank account and you can go spend money or do whatever.
If you're fortunate enough.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just a tough time. And, I kind of hit that. And I thought I was a man, freshman on campus, I can go do whatever I want. Ended up, not going to class, didn't make the grades. And so obviously Warner was very fortunate enough to let me come back. Couldn't play in the spring, didn't make the grades, but I made the grades next year. So had a great fall. I'm freshman, sophomore year, great falls. They're telling me I'm going to be varsity potential starter. And going into my sophomore year, great fall, like I said. It hits the very last day of the fall season. And our team, we have a thing called the Pizza Series. And basically, they split the whole team up into 3 teams, and they've kind of do like a winner takes all.
Undefeated, by the way. I'm bragging to all my teammates listening out there. Yeah. Undefeated.
So kind of winner takes all deal. So my team won, and I was like, me being the whole party animal or whatever I was back then, I was like, all right, party at my girl I was dating at the time at her house. And they're like, oh, heck yeah. So we go over there, and, it was Florida-Georgia game. We were all having a good time, whatever. Go to a 21st birthday party last night. Things happen.
Yes. Yeah.
And then on the way home, we have a rival across the lake, and I had a couple bad influences with me. And they were like, hey, man, why don't you go do donuts on their soccer field? And I was like, no, I'd never. And they basically were like, oh, come on. You got to be a man about it. And looking back now, it's not much of being a man doing stupid stuff like that. And that's more of being a boy.
Yeah.
And so I go out there, obviously fall into peer pressure and a little liquid courage into it too. But then the next day, not thinking anything of it, I'm at the ex-girlfriend's house, and I hear a knock on the door, and here comes the police. So they asked me, they're like, are you Nathan Smothers? Yeah, yada, yada, yada. Make a long story short, to get arrested. This was probably rock bottom for me. And
I would imagine.
Yeah, and I hit that point, and I was like, man, what are you doing with your life? You're about to get kicked out of school. Again, Warner was faithful to me and let me stay back on campus.
They're big on second chances.
Yeah, well, they gave me 3, and
nice.
Thankfully the third one I made last. I kept saying, like I've told a lot of people, like I would always say good things about Warner. You know, it's not
Same.
places, you know, some people talk bad about it. You know, it's being a private Christian school. There's a lot of rules and things like that. Warner was the best possible place for me. Is because if I did certain things at other schools, I may have not got punished for them. And I probably would have not ended up being the man I am today because the people around me were like, hey, get your life together, figure it out. Like, and finally I was kind of able to move along that path.
I feel like everybody ends up at the school they belong at.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you graduate, like looking back at whatever experience you went and did, you feel like that was what you were destined to do. You know, my college path, transferring schools, getting to Warner, you know, I'm the same way. I would never talk bad about it. Yeah. Never. But, you know, some people who might have gone to UF or like UCF or out of state have totally different experiences than us. And have totally loved it too. Like I think it all depends on the person, and their experience they put together for themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, I absolutely loved Warner, and I do not think that going to a big college scene would be good for me.
Me either. I would have like I tell my mom all the time, like joking around, if I went to UF, they would have never seen me again. Yeah, and it's not a joke. Like I would have got lost in that city. Bad.
Well, my thing is, like, I already like struggled enough to go to class, and
I would have never went either.
Yeah, I was about to say I didn't. And hey, even not making the grades my freshman year, still graduated in 4 years. So I'd like to add.
I can't say the same. It took me 5.
But yeah, no, and I do want to hit this point. So, you know, kind of moved out of that whole scene. Kind of got my act together.
That's what I'm
in a way. We're still that knife getting polished away 100%, and I'm not a finished piece of work at all. But I hit this point where it was my senior year, and I was going in my senior year, and Brian and I were living together. And I looked at Brian, and I said, dude, we've got one more year
to live it up.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, you can still live it up and be responsible.
Yeah.
And so it hit me, and I was like, you know, I had recently been through a breakup, and there was girl drama in that. And then there was just a lot of things that were just kept piling up. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm leaving all that in the past, and I'm going to go out there and make as most memories as I can. I'm going to go up to the people that I haven't talked to very much. I'm going to go say, hey, how you doing? And I really came out of my shell.
Boy, howdy, did we?
And, you know, I got so close with so many friends that I honestly didn't think I would have. Like that's when Tad and I's relationship was really close, and Tad was the third guy on our previous podcast in college.
Yeah. I actually saw a TikTok come up on that the other day. I thought I deleted that, and I guess it didn't, but it came up on my For You page, dude.
Now people are gonna go.
Yeah,
look it up.
I know. I got to get on that.
But yeah, no, I hit that point the fall going into my senior year, and I was like, man, I am going to just. It's good vibes only. We're not going to let anything slow us down. Like, I don't care what happens with baseball. Like, I'm going to try to make sure I'm at every class, and I just want everything to go perfectly. And it really did. Like, we had one heck of a senior year. It was so much bonding, and it was a great time in my life.
Good group of guys around us, too.
Oh, 100%.
Good group of friends.
100%. So then we kind of moved towards graduation, and it kind of hit like a point where I was like, man, like, what am I going to do with my life? You know, like, I've got this ag degree and I love agriculture, but like, I just feel like there's something more than like agriculture out there for me. So I get a job, and I'm a ranch hand at this company called Tri Britain. And so basically I handle cows, anything to do with cows I kind of deal with. And then, and I always said, I was like, I'm going to start a TikTok once I get out of college. I didn't want to do it in college because I was scared of stuff I was going to post was going to offend the school, which really now nothing I would have posted. Yeah.
Well, back when you would have posted back then, what you would have like, you know what I'm saying? What you would have posted back then definitely would have fitted the school. And that's some of the hardship of being a student athlete at a Christian university. I will say that. Like, you get censored somewhat.
Big time. But yeah, no, I wanted to post TikToks or whatever because I felt like I was a pretty funny guy.
Yeah.
And so I had this idea of being like an influencer, like really bad. Like, that's been a dream of mine. I've told people all the time, if I could travel around the world with a video camera, 100% I'd do it. Like, that is my absolute dream job. Like, I would drop everything, like No
Yeah,
expenses
me too.
asked.
Me too.
Like just, hey, get on a plane today. We're going to this place.
Go
And-
film a video in Australia. All right, where's my ticket?
Yeah, I'm gone. See ya. But yeah, so I started my TikTok page and had a couple really good videos that popped off, and then Brian came up with this idea, and he kept saying, he's like, man, like we need to bring back the podcast. And I was like, well, like let's do it. And finally he sat down with me one night. I'm just thinking Brian's talking out his butt, and he sits down with me. He's like, Nate, like if we're gonna do this, let's do this. And I was like, all right, let's do it. I'm ready. And I was like, I work 12 hours a day, but I need a little, I need a little extra. I need a little extra.
More stress.
And so we finally started it, and man, there's just something about this thing that's just special. And I know you feel
Absolutely,
it too.
yeah.
There was a very, very cool night that Brian and I had together. We got tickets to Machine Gun Kelly. And and we go over to the concert, and Machine Gun Kelly's playing All Time Low and Giovanni and the Higher Guns.
Really good lineup.
Yeah, three bands that Brian and I very much like.
Party to a lot.
Yeah,
a lot.
in college too. And so we go over, and it's just Brian and I, and we're like, you know what, we need a day to kind of just relax. So we go over there, we're sitting on the lawn in the Florida Amphitheater, and getting ready for Machine Gun Kelly, and this guy walks up to us, and he was like, hey guys, did y'all bring any lawn chairs? And we're like, no, we don't have any blankets or anything.
80 style. We're gonna rough it. Sit in the grass.
We're
No
just
blanket,
sitting-
no
yeah,
nothing.
Exactly. And he goes, y'all got any blankets or anything? And we're like, no. And he's like, oh, here's 2 free upgrades. And so like they put us down in the chair back seats, like really nice seats.
No, what you gotta get. We were down, dude. We were in the nosebleeds at that place, and we went from that to being able to like almost touch the guitar strings. It felt like we were so nice. That guy blessed us, bro.
Yeah, it was awesome. And so, we get fired up. I love Machine Gun Kelly, and with Brian and I, we were jamming out and everything, and we get on the car ride home, and we start playing more music, and I stopped the playlist, and I was like, Brian, I know I don't talk about this a lot, and because I'm not one that necessarily talks about my feelings or anything like that. Doesn't really express emotion that much.
Never.
And I said, Brian, I just want you to know, I was like, if you ever have any doubt in your mind, I was like, we can do this thing, like with this podcast. And I just used a bunch of words of affirmation and let Brian know I actually care about this thing.
I just know, like, at one point we were listening to an MGK song on, like, my radio goes to 63. I mean, the volume was at, like, 62.
Yeah.
And we were, like, just screaming at one point, like, yeah.
I think there was one point I was like pounding on your dash. I say, we can do this. And I'm like, and Brian's over there just safely driving us home.
Trying to.
And it was just that moment where I was like, Brian and I refer to it all the time. He was like, I need an MGK moment right now.
Yep.
And it's just one of those things where it's like this whole idea of what we're doing here, it just fires me up, because if I can spread what I have in my heart here to people out there and to inspire them to go do something that I have in here, man, I just want people to have the passion I have for this out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you have like the more will to inspire and want to inspire people with words.
Yeah.
And I do too. It comes naturally with the conversations that we have sometimes with our guests.
Definitely.
But mine, I want to learn, bro. I was like just learning people's stories. Like I was driving the other day with Reagan down, my girlfriend, out to dinner or whatever, and I told her just some random fact from some documentary I saw on Hulu, about some 80s t-shirt fact, I don't know. And I was like, I just like learning stuff.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that's kind of the good balance that we have here. You're more I want to inspire and, talk about how people's stories affect them. And I'm more of like, dude, how'd you become this? Like, what do you do?
Well, I've told people all the time, I was like, the reason why this whole podcast works is because Brian and I are complete opposites.
Yeah, we're like yin and yang.
Yeah,
literally.
really. Like, Brian understands the computer stuff. Like, Brian is great with the computer stuff. And I can, we both network. That's the thing. How this whole thing breaks down is our personalities mesh very good on the podcast, I feel like. And then both of us have strength and weaknesses in areas that the other struggle or are strong in. And so it's perfect because, my mom was telling me, she was like, no good business has like two partners that are the same exact person. It's because there needs to be one area where one struggles and the other one pulls up, and vice versa. And so in a good business, you always have to have two people that complement each other, not two people that are exact same. Because if there's two people that are exact same, why is there a need for another person?
Exactly.
You get what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And so I think that's cool with us, because whenever we are interviewing people, or we do have ideas, or you'll bring up something and I'll bring up something, and then we come to a fair middle ground and figure out what we're going to do. But
I like it. We attack our interviews with our personalities, and our personalities differ so much that they work together.
Definitely.
Kind of like a battery. When you flip it, it's got the A plus and the negative, the minus, or A plus, the plus and the minus. I'm the plus, you're the minus.
Yeah. Brian,
loose analogy there.
I'm a little bit of the pessimistic, and Brian's a little bit of the optimistic, the positive and negative.
But I want to get into, you're moving in to your big TikTok trend. You like it. You love TikTok. You like creating content. I'm a creator too. I like to create things in my head. I do more stuff for businesses. You do like yourself.
Yeah.
You network yourself.
Yeah.
How where do these inspirations come from? Because I know you sit on a tractor like 8 hours a day, and then I'll be sitting at work and I have your post notifications on, by the way. I'm that good of a friend. I just want to put that out there. I'm that
Brian's
good of a
my
friend.
fanboy.
Yeah. And when you post, it's like sometimes like, damn it, you post again. Or it's sometimes he's like, oh, that's a pretty good video. I like that one. But where does it come from?
So, man, honestly, when I talk about my TikTok, I am not like TikTok famous. Like I have a decent following. I have 13.3 thousand followers.
You're growing every day.
Yeah, it's not like I'm a guy that's got 800,000, whatever. I talk about my TikTok a lot because I enjoy making it.
Yeah.
And some of the results from some of the videos have shown that other people enjoy them too. But man, honestly, it comes like I get my big inspiration when I'm sitting on the tractor, because it's a blessing and a curse, because you sit and you're operating a piece of equipment for 8, 10, 11 hours out of the day, and it gives you time where you're always in your thoughts. And so if you have a bad day, you can just continually run scenarios through your head, not talking about anything. And so it can really be a Debbie Downer on your day, because you're sitting there like just stuck in your crap.
I've been
and any operators that are listening know exactly what I'm talking about.
I've been there. I've mowed groves and tractors before, for days.
It's something that not a lot of people will understand, whether like it's construction guys or agriculture guys. Whenever you're in a cab for that long, it's
so bad.
It's enjoyable at times. It's like, I like my job, but there's a lot of times where you're just stuck in your thoughts. And so when I'm stuck in my thoughts, I have a lot of these ideas too. And so I get in these moods where I call them my silly, goofy moods. And so I just think of like stupid stuff. It's kind of like ADHD, like just going nuts.
Well, yeah.
And so like I'll be bouncing all these ideas off, and then all of a sudden like I'll just be scrolling, because I don't scroll through TikTok for my enjoyment. I scroll through TikTok to get ideas. And so obviously I enjoy some of the videos.
That's what I do too.
Yeah. It's not like I'm like, oh, bah humbug. Like, I try to get ideas. I do enjoy them, but I try to get my own ideas.
You do it more for trends, right?
Yeah.
Like you look for trends. When I'm looking for ideas, I look for like camera angles or like tricks of things that
I do
guys
that for
are
my
doing.
photography
Yeah,
page.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that goes back to our differences there.
Yeah.
And they go together.
Yeah, definitely. It's just like I try to get different audios. If it's a trending audio, if I keep seeing an audio and I feel like I can do something with that, or if I have, for instance, like I get quotes in my head, and then if I can figure out something that pairs with it, obviously, the big one.
Yeah.
The big one, I got 4.4 million views, and it was.
Is that what you refer to it as? The big one.
That's the big one.
There's a TikTok sound for that. That's going on the
big one.
That's going on our TikTok.
It's gonna be huge. But no, basically, I kind of poked fun at the arrest thing that I was talking about earlier, and I said, "Is a video of me just sitting on I think Side by Side or something, and I said, whenever you pay for what was it? When you pay for a photo shoot, or when you pay $21,000 for a photo shoot and only get one picture back, and then it flips to my mugshot.
Yeah,
and and people liked that one a lot.
I did as soon as I saw it, because I like I said, I have your post notifications on even back then.
Yeah,
even back then. As soon as I saw it, I was like, damn, that was a good one. Because it made me chuckle. It was like I was driving down the road. Yes, disclaimer, I was TikToking and driving. Please do not do that if you're listening. But I chuckled and almost like, scared. Yeah. And I was like, in my head, I was like, all right, that one's going to be big. And we were sitting at dinner that night, eating our chicken wings at the Coop.
We love Coop nights.
Yeah. And, you're sitting there and your face lights up. You're looking at your phone. And I look at Reagan, who's sitting beside me, and I said, I see your face, and you're like going like this, refreshing. I was like, "What's up?" And he's like, "Dude, I'm going viral right now." Just like that, dude. I'm going viral right now.
I've had a couple videos like that, and man, I can't explain the feeling.
It's like a drug.
It is, dude. It's bad. It is bad. Like, it is such a drug because, like, you refresh, and like when you start out, you'll get 300 views, and then you get a couple notifications, and you look, and you're like, oh shoot, like I'm at 2,500, and it's like, okay, that's cool, and then all of a sudden it's boom, and it's like 25K, and then like you're like, oh shoot, that really popped off. You set your phone down for 3 minutes, you refresh, you're at 100, and it's like it just boom, boom, boom. Dude, it was a matter of 4 hours and I was at 1 million views. And it's like anytime I refreshed, I was jumping 100,000 views. It was insane. Like, it was crazy.
It's crazy to think that many people are all on your video at that time. Like, it's crazy to think that many people are all on the same site at that time.
So I put this in perspective. So I went to a Gator game a couple weeks later, and I'm sitting in the stadium. And in the stadium, there's, 91,000?
93,000.
93,000 people in that stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It'd be like everybody be on their phone seeing the video.
Yeah, no.
More than that.
So I had 352,000 likes, and I'm sitting in the stadium looking around, and I said, if I took this stadium and multiply it by 3, that's how many people saw my video and decided to double tap.
That's crazy, right?
That's insane. It's because you're literally sitting there and it's just people everywhere. And that many people were like, that's funny. Like, it's like, think about if it's those like 91,000 times 3 or whatever. And all at once they all started laughing.
Dude, it is a drug because like we've had a couple of reels with the one stuff that I do on like Facebook that have popped off. YouTube, we had a big one with Jacob Cooper's disclaimer against Five Guys. And like I had the notifications going off on my phone at work. Like, zzz, 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 zzz. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this feeling.
I know when it's a good video because I'll look down at my Apple Watch and I'll have people following me on my Instagram. Yeah. And so I'll get Instagram follow. No, because I don't have my TikTok notifications on my watch. It's just Instagram. And so I'll look down and all of a sudden I'll feel like zzz, zzz, and I'll be like, oh, TikTok's popping off.
Nice.
And I'll look and it's like, okay, that's cool because my Instagram's linked to my TikTok. But man, it's very cool because it's like I want to hit trends, but at the same time, like I want to post something that people are going to relate to.
Yeah.
And so like with a lot of my stuff, you know, I do the stupid little trends and stuff like that. And I encourage people to be like, if you ever make a video and you think it's cringy, post it.
Yeah.
Because I can't tell you how many videos that I have posted and thought they were cringy and ended up getting 25,000 views or things like that. And it's like, that's stupid. Like, I don't like it at all. Whatever. Like, what am I going to do? I can delete it in a day or whatever. And then all of a sudden it pops off and it's crazy, man, how all that works.
And I'm so excited we get to talking about this because I didn't want to tell you because I landed a TikToker today for the show as a guest.
Oh.
I can't tell you his name. I wanted it to be a surprise for our later guests. I'll have to tell you after.
You better not be bluffing.
He's got 29,000 followers, something like that. He's got a baseball page.
Oh, that's cool.
He's gonna be a cool guy. He agreed to come on the show, and I was talking to him. He was like, "Yeah, man, I would love to come on and talk about the new age of social media and all that goes into content creating and whatnot." And I was like, "That's gonna be right up Nate's alley." And that'd be a good one to tune in to.
Yeah,
for our future
it's
listeners.
it's really unreal, man, because like a lot of people will see the consumer side of all the social media stuff going on right now. Like whether it's because like when I get home from work, when I get done doing this, like I sit on my phone and I do research on stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I gave you a couple tips on your page and stuff like that, because I'm not going to tell somebody like, hey, go do this unless I see results from me doing it.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because just a simple way to set up your profile can completely change the amount of views you have.
Yeah.
Like just because of keywords you use or, from
Hashtags.
Yeah, like
it's crazy to think that, when I think it was 6th grade, that's when Instagram came out. I think it was like 2012 when it came out. And I remember being like on Instagram and like being on social media and that stuff back then. I'm like, man, all there is a like button. That's it. Like there was no algorithms. There's it's this person posted. If you're following this person, you see this post. If not, oh well, better follow them later on. Like it's crazy to think where the world of social media has come to. I kind of look at it like the gold rush, right? Mm-hmm. So way back in the 40s when everybody was moving out west, everybody was trying to get the gold, get rich fast. Well, if you look at it, social media, man, you can get big overnight. You can get, let's be honest, you can get rich overnight with social media. And it's kind of like the same, effect. People are going to start flocking to try to do it. And that's why there's so many podcasts, there's so many shows out there. There's so many everything.
See, that's the part that I beg to differ.
Really?
Because what you see are the people that finally have the courage to start posting videos.
Okay.
If you look at the percentage of creators on TikTok, then the percentage of consumers, it's unreal. I don't know the exact number, but I want to say it was like there's 15% of creators for 85% of consumers.
Man, that's nuts.
That means there's 85% of the people out there will have an account and never post a video.
Huh. That's crazy.
And so you look at TikTok and all these people that are TikTok famous and stuff like that. Think about the 85% of people that are sitting there just looking at their phone, dreaming, oh, I wish I could do that. Yeah. And never have the courage to post one video.
It's true.
That's insane. And that's what I tell people all the time. Don't be afraid of what people think about you. Like, because I deal with that a lot. Because
I do too.
I post, Brian and my whole life's on social media. And so, and I don't say it like I'm some big superstar or anything like that. But, I hope to one day I am.
I think me and you have different approaches to social media, right? Mm-hmm. So when you get on, you post and, you scroll. I've been hanging out with you before and I'm like, Nate. And you just
I'm always looking for ideas.
You're TikTok scrolling. And, me, I have a different kind of thing with it. I post and ghost, kind of. I post on there, and then I really don't ever get on there. The main one I stay on, and I'm really guilty of this, is Snapchat. Because I Snapchat you, I Snapchat Reagan, I Snapchat all my friends throughout the day. But, I don't really get on Instagram a lot unless I'm posting reels for the post or, for our show or stuff like that, or... I just don't know. I like that approach because I don't get caught up in all the, negativity of social media.
You see, my thing is I get really caught up in Instagram Reels. And not because I barely post Instagram Reels.
Yeah.
It's because they're so entertaining me because they're focused to what I like. Mm-hmm. See, my TikTok algorithm is so boogered right now because it's all the trends and stuff that I personally don't give a crap about, but that's what sticks.
That's your research.
Yeah. And so when I'm on my TikTok, it's almost unenjoyable for me now to be able to scroll through because I've got, I like one thing with a certain effect, and then that affects all over my For You page. And it's like, okay, yeah, the effect's cool, but I really don't. It's so this is one's a big one. So you remember whenever the big it's corn thing,
Yeah, the
popped up
corn,
on TikTok.
corn song. Yeah.
That would not pop off my or TikTok for months, dude. Like, it was so frustrating because I would every other thing. It's corn.
Yeah, that sound. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man! I was so
annoying.
frustrated.
So annoying.
And then when my friends would do it, I'm like, "It's corn." No,
No.
shut up. Please stop saying that. I've heard it's corn 1,000 times a day looking for TikTok ideas.
I'm gonna make that your ringtone on my phone. So
Please
every time
don't.
you call me, it's gonna be it's corn.
It's
It's real.
oh man, it's so frustrating. And hey, that's another example of a kid that had a video that blew
Overnight.
up and made millions.
Literally.
Yeah,
Literally. That's crazy.
But-
But I'm glad that we got into that, and I'm glad that I kind of dropped my little present there for you in the episode. He's gonna be a cool guest.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, he'll be.
Maybe he can teach me something.
Yeah, and I think he'll help you with some edits and stuff too.
Definitely.
But Nate, we've been going at it now for about 50 minutes. So I want to get into our snap questions. I put these together personally. I didn't write them down on our whiteboard up here that we do our script on and stuff to help us keep on track, because I didn't want you to see them. I want them to be like natural reactions.
Okay.
And I think they're pretty good.
I'm gonna have to think about it a little
I
bit.
think they're pretty good. So the first one I'm going to ask you is, I don't want to ask you the table question because we've already given us, we've already given our answers for the table question. I don't want to just beat the dead horse. But if you could have one last meal, what would it be? Anybody can cook it, by the way.
Man, can I have two?
No. I said one.
Dang, not even a surf and turf kind of deal.
Well, no, it can be one last meal in a whole. Not like I'm going to eat this now and then save it.
So it's not like I can say like a triple dipper thing at Chili's, huh?
No, you could. That could be your meal.
Well, that's 3 different things.
That's your meal, though.
Okay, well, I'm a pretty good cook. What if I cook this for myself?
Fine.
Okay.
Go for it.
So I'm a big, I love chicken wings.
Okay.
I'd say. So buffalo chicken wings, they have to be all flats, the 2 bones, and just ranch. And then I'm a sucker for just blackened shrimp. Like, I really like blackened shrimp. So
Nice.
if I can, I can have some chicken, some shrimp, surf and turf action.
Over a better rice or fries?
I really like rice pilaf, honestly.
Nice. That's a good call there. I'd have went with the rice too.
Yeah, I really like rice pilaf.
Personally.
Like rice pilaf or any kind of dirty rice, like sausage or something in there.
Like that spicy rice, that jambalaya rice.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Why are you saying stuff
Because
like
I'm hungry. All right.
Guys, belly's growling over
Moving
there.
on. Okay. I have like 3 or 4 lined up. I didn't know which ones I was going to pick, so excuse me looking at my phone like this. This is a good one. Describe your dream woman.
Oh, man.
Because you are a single man. You are a bachelor.
So, man, I really don't have a type.
I ain't got no type.
Bad. Man, I have talked to tattooed women. I've talked to blonde women, and I don't know. This is hard. Okay, I'll give a description of the personality, because looks and whatever, that really, obviously, I'll
gotta find
be
them attractive.
Yeah, and I'd
Yeah,
have to
I
find them
get
attractive, but I'm not like a blonde guy or a black haired or redhead.
You're not picky.
Yeah, no. But in terms of personality, man, they've got to be, they just can't be drama filled. Like, they can't go out looking for an argument. I've dated a lot of toxic women.
I feel you. I've been there too.
And so that's part of the reason why I'm single. I like my peace of mind. And so if I'm dating a woman and she does not give me a peace of mind, she's probably hitting the road.
I get that.
Because I enjoy my peace of mind right now. Honestly, I was talking to my mom the other night, and I told her, I said, Mom, the next girl I date, I can almost guarantee you I'm going to marry her, because I'm not going to put myself in a situation to fall on my face again.
Yeah.
So it's basically God's going to have to be.
Good one.
Yeah, God's going to have to be in my ear and be like, hey,
This is the one.
This is the one. Quit dragging your feet.
Kind of had that message. Feel that.
But man, honestly, they've got to be loving. absolutely have to love my family. My family is the number one most important thing to me. I work for them, so yeah, we're very tight knit group.
It's going to affect work too at that point.
Yeah, they got to love my family. A big thing for me, man, I like presents. Like, I'm not a gold digger, but like, I like, I like presents. Yeah, for instance, like if you go to the gas station and you see a keychain that says Nathan, and you buy it for me and bring it back home and says, "Hey, I saw this, thought of you," and hand it to me, that will make my day. Honestly, honestly. Or if you go to the gas station, bring back home a large vanilla Coke, I'm gonna love you.
Nice.
Like, I'm just like a small things, very small things, like things that relate to me, like Reese cups, like things that are very like.
That's my favorite candy bar, by the way.
Yeah, like things that are very important to me, or whatever, things like that make me me. And you go pick that up and bring it, and won't even have to say a word, and you come back with it, dude. That will make my day. Like, yeah.
Nice.
Do that, women.
Okay. Okay. Anything else you'd like to add that question before we move on?
I do like green eyes. That is cool.
Okay.
But yeah.
There you
go. We can move on now.
Nice. Nice. So, not particular on looks. I mean, not picky on looks. Green eyes and
any color eyes, just not
and
brown.
love your family.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be too hard. I think a lot of women can fit that mold.
I'm very picky.
I know you are. All right. Ooh. Who is your dream guest?
Dang. No no warning, Brian.
Yes.
Just straight on the spot.
Well, yeah, that's why it's called a snap question, bro.
So how about this? Since we didn't answer the table question, what if I have 3 dream guests?
I'll give you 2. Because, I only gave you 1 earlier, and I gave you 2 on that. But I only asked for 1, so
I would have dropped the shrimp then. Okay, so my dream guest.
Can't believe you don't know yours. I know mine off the rip. If you ask me this question, I tell you right now. Go Wetzel. That quick.
Probably Matthew McConaughey.
Okay. All right.
Wait, do they have to be alive?
No.
Okay, I take that back. Robin Williams.
Okay. I knew you were going to do that.
Yeah, Robin Williams is my favorite actor of all time. Because I saw one of his movies called Dead Poet Society. And he really challenges it. He's basically a teacher at a boarding school, and it's all boys. And they're very strict, and they're very bum, 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 bum. Like, you got to follow the rules. Mm-hmm. And Robin Williams is his teacher, and he has these guys in this poetry class, and he challenges them to think outside the box, to think for themselves, to think basically what you see is black and white, think in purple. Yeah. And so, like, just beyond your wildest imagination kind of thing. And he really challenges these kids, and you see the development of these boys from being like stuck in this like code that you had to be able to just do all the extraordinary things. And it really influenced me, because like the whole time he was just telling them, and he was like, hey, go do this, follow your dreams, like you can do this, like if you have interest, go try it, why not? Yeah. And then it was very, very cool. In that movie, if you've never seen it, I would say go see it.
I have to watch it. Never checked it out.
And then obviously he's hilarious, and so if I could,
he is a comedian.
Yeah, like if he could sit down and I laugh my butt off the whole time, all for it. And then if you can get deep and talk about some of the deep meanings of things, honestly, like it broke my heart the day that he passed away, or committed suicide. Like, I cried. Like, he was very, very important. I say important person in my life. He didn't know who I was. He was very cool. Influential person in my life. Grew up watching his movies, and loved watching his YouTube videos of his stand-up comedy. And yeah, I'd definitely say he would be one of my guests. For number 2, man,
we already said 2. You said Matthew.
No, I dropped Matthew.
Oh, okay.
I said Robin Williams.
10-4 on that.
I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. would be hilarious. Or Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Okay.
I think he would be a good one.
The Intimidator.
Yeah. Just because, like...
I don't know if he talked much.
You don't think so?
I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I've seen his interviews in the past. He's been, just depends on what sponsor's on his chest, I guess.
I feel like he would be cool because he's a big outdoorsman. He liked to go really fast. I don't know. That one just came off the top of my head, and I was like, I feel like that would be cool. I mean, he's a legend.
Nice. That was a good question. You might have to save that one for me next week.
Okay.
Maybe I might already have my answers.
Well, you already said co-Wetzel. So.
Well, I might get another one. All right. This last question I got lined up for you before we sign off here, it might kind of go back to your rule 1, but I think it's a good question to ask to end things, to kind of, get to know the full Nathan Smothers. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been told, partner? And you could take time to answer this. I know it's hard, but it's...
No, the one... I had one off the rip that popped into my mind that I'm not going to repeat.
Oh, okay. Can't repeat it.
Man. So this, I talked about my dad a little bit. The best piece of advice, he preached it all the time. He said, make it count. That was his big thing. That was his big slogan at his funeral. And he always would say, just make it count. Like, whatever you do, just make it count. It doesn't matter if it's kind of like, just do it, or, do 100%. But his thing was make it count. And so if you have one opportunity to do one thing, make it count. And so, for instance, like I would be going up to bat. I remember there's a specific time I was 10 years old, and I was in, majors baseball, like, little boy baseball.
Yeah.
And I was going up to bat, and it was a tie ball game, and my dad walked up to the edge of dugout. He was like, "Hey, bud, just make it count." And he wasn't like a dad that was like, "Hey, you need to go do this and that." He was just standing by the dugout.
Yeah, he's like a cool dad.
Yeah, and he was like, "Hey, come on, make it count." Yeah. And I go up there and I hit my first home run I ever hit.
Nice.
And it was just one of those cool moments where he was always standing there, and it was just something he always said, was make it count. So it doesn't matter what you do, put 110% effort in and make it count.
I like that.
So
that's good.
That's my deal.
That's good to wrap it up on, man, because you're a person
kind of ties it all in a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're a person that's driven, who's gonna make all their opportunities count on what they do, and you're passionate for all things, and that's why I picked you as my partner, and that's why I told you, if we're going to do this thing, we're going to do this shit.
Did I have a choice?
Right from the start. I really don't know if we had a choice, because I kind of told you, I was like, hey, I really want to start the podcast up. You're doing it.
Yeah. And then, you're doing this podcast, and we're going to record it at your house.
Yeah.
I was like,
kind of.
All right. Yeah. Bring it on over.
That was fun, man.
Well, Brian, man, I appreciate you having me on your podcast.
Man, no problem. Guys, if you like what you saw,
follow me on social media at Smothers_5.
It's in our bio.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, that was cool. Guys, please keep following, keep liking, keep subscribing. We get more every day. I look at the YouTube, it gets more likes. I look at the Instagram, we get more likes. Our TikTok, we get a little bit of spike in followers like every, day or day and a half. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, guys, we really appreciate y'all. And, like we said, if you liked my story, y'all know my personal page, but I hope y'all are looking forward to Brian's story next week. We're going to dive in a little bit. He's got a lot of cool stuff. We always talk about little snippets of our life, but we just kind of want to just lay it all out there for y'all, so y'all know exactly who is hosting these podcasts and trying to be able to relate to these stories that we have on.
I'm going to drop a bomb on here next week. The fact, if anybody's ever seen me and my dad, we look a lot alike, but I'm going to drop a bomb on the show.
I figured you were going to bring that up.
Yeah, it'll be good. But until then, guys, thank you for watching another episode of the Rule 1 podcast.
Yeah, we'll be in the Keys this weekend, so we'll see.
Yeah, man, we're excited. It's birthday weekend, the big 2-4, baby.
Brian's turning 24.
Woo-hoo!
And we'll see y'all next week.
Peace.